Welcome back to the Marine Corps Movie Minute, where we discuss the movie. Fuck
Your turn. Your turn.
it. I'm doing it again. All right.
You should. No, we
This,
should leave it because I cocked up the last one.
all right, but I'm starting over. Okay, this is terrible. Welcome to the Marine Corps Movie Minute, where we discuss the movie Heartbreak Ridge 1 minute at a time. I am your co-host, Brian Lockhart.
And I'm Jack Perry.
And today we are discussing minute 9 of Heartbreak Ridge. Minute 9 begins with the police officer Reese asking Clint Eastwood to read the file of his. And it ends with Clint Eastwood maybe making a new friend. We're not sure. We'll find out. All right, so that file that the officer Reese is asking Clint to read, apparently, according to him, it's ancient fucking history.
Yeah, so apparently that does kind of date back where it's not. This isn't. This does lead a lot more credence to this. The idea that this is more of a Korean War veteran. I mean, again, I for some reason maybe it was just a generation I grew up in, or we grew up in. I was getting circled around the Vietnam movies because there were so many of them. But yeah, he does seem to be more of a Korean War vet. He's like a lot, more aged than I originally thought. I also kind of find it adorable that every Marine, when they start showing the Marine base, is wearing what looks to be brand new camis.
Well, when you get a new movie, you get
New camis.
new camis.
Yeah.
Well, what I think is funny about Officer Reese, talking all that smack to him. Now, granted, they have a history. He peed on his cop car. That would make me mad. And then he got off with literally a slap on the wrist. One thing that kind of stood out to me, because this is 86, filmed in 80. I mean, it's filmed in 86, takes place in 83, post Vietnam War, and it's peacetime. Nobody gives a shit about whether or not you were in the service.
No.
That Officer Reese was not thanking him for his service.
No.
Not the way they do nowadays. Back then, it didn't matter here. He's a piece of shit. I don't care if he's in the Marines or not.
Yeah.
In fact, if anything, back then, most people thought Marines it was either, hey, you go to jail or you go to the Marine Corps. So they probably weren't.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, it's just like, yeah, there was a lot of, Marines were, the Vietnam Marines, a lot of them were called baby killers, so there's probably, some social stigma attached to being Marines.
You can't assign too much social commentary to him because he did get his cop car pissed on and he's pissed off.
Yeah, exactly. He's upset. Oh, and his dig about, well, he doesn't give servicemen discounts.
Oh.
And Gunny Highway going, well, that's all right. Your wife does.
Yeah. which is, I like that, of course he insults his wife and not his mother, which is, always classy.
Yeah. It's, only counts if it's the, significant other.
Yeah. What do you say? Yeah, I don't give no serviceman's discounts. Too bad your old lady does.
Yeah. Classy. It just keeps walking. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Of course our famous deputy back there had to hold Officer Reese back.
Oh yeah. I told you, man. He was the anchor. He was the thing right there because this movie could have been over had Gunny Highway gotten arrested again.
Yeah, that's true. So, of course, the scene ends right there. It's pretty funny. Ends on that one-liner, and he zings them. And it's as Clint Eastwood's got the zingers. He's pretty good with them.
Yep.
I noticed I call him Clint Eastwood a lot more than Tom Highway because he's just Clint Eastwood.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just noticing, the Marine and me sitting there picking apart uniforms. I'm looking at their cover isn't starched. The camis aren't really starched. They're kind of a little bit loose. They are, the sleeve rolls are pretty nice, I guess. They're not bad. But these are also the same style camis that you and I came up in.
Yeah.
These aren't the the Marpat digital camis. These are like the old style Woodlands that were around and up to the late 90s.
Yeah, probably. What? Yeah, right around 2000s. Personally, I don't like those digital ones. That's just my own personal preference. I don't like them.
I don't mind the desert digitals, but the Woodland digitals, I'm not a big fan of.
You know what? I agree with that. The desert ones seem appropriate, and I prefer this style for the woodland,
Yeah.
look.
Yeah.
It's all about when you were in and what you know, and
Yeah.
what is usually what you like.
Yeah. Do you know the other supply sergeant? I don't even can't really tell what rank he is. It looks like he's got his rank pin on his cover, not not the EGA, which I find. Oh, actually, now as I'm looking at it now, that's not even a Marine pin. That's an Army pin. It
I
doesn't have the
can't.
rifles. It doesn't
That's a
have the
good
cross.
point. Yeah.
Here you go, folks. A peek behind the curtain. Marines have cross rifles on, well, under a lot of their enlisted ranks. Not all of them, but a lot of them.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even catch that. That he doesn't have the Eagle Globe and Anchor on his cover. Obviously uniform standards change over time, and I couldn't tell
Yeah,
you what it was in the '80s, but
yeah.
because if you notice, they don't have over their breast pockets,
They don't have
uh,
name tapes.
they don't have name tapes and they don't have Marine. Now,
Huh.
granted, that used to be the case because we had a master gunnery sergeant that hated the fact that your name was on both your ass and on your breastplate.
Oh yeah.
Because he goes, I don't need to know your name. All I have to say is, hey, Marine, and I'm talking to you.
I think I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yep. I'm sure you do. It's possible that, the uniform, had changed at that time, but yeah, the cross rifles, I believe, were always there. So that's funny. I never noticed that.
The only reason I saw is because the just again a peek behind the curtain, folks. We've got the clip kind of going on in the background sometimes, and it just happened to catch in the light, and it was just high enough quality where you could see that yeah, it's missing some stuff. So yeah, he's actually a sergeant. He's actually
Yeah.
yeah, Gunny Highway is actually talking to a supply guy who has connections in Havana, Cuba, and he's just a regular sergeant.
Well,
He's a little old for a sergeant too. I think he's been bumped a few times.
yes, exactly. I was noting that's the thing because I think we said one time in another minute that a lot of people tend to be a little older than they should be.
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
I was going to save this for the next minute, but I mean since we're talking about it, you brought it up. He definitely looks old. So he's listed in IMDb as a sergeant quartermaster. So he's a quartermaster, and you notice he doesn't have jump wings. Everybody else has jump wings there.
Yeah, I see a lot of jump wings. Yep,
Yeah,
a
and
lot of them.
his played by J.C. Quinn, and I was curious because I'm like I always thought this guy seemed way older than he should be. Then going into the Marine Corps, knowing that this guy's a sergeant and he looks like he could be my dad,
Yeah, yeah,
he almost looks like Major Dad a little bit actually.
yeah, a
Uh,
little bit.
I'm like okay, so I looked him up. He was born in 1940. So if this takes place in 1983, the actor was born in 1940, but it makes sense. So this is born in takes place in 1983. So he's 43 years old as a sergeant. In the most people would be getting out by that point,
Right.
and they wouldn't be a
Yeah,
sergeant so unless they got
yeah,
busted down.
yeah, yeah. If he's a normal sergeant, man, he's lived a rough
Right.
first few decades.
It is possible that he at some point became a lance corporal several times and then made it back to sergeant.
We knew a few that were either close to or actually did that.
Now, I thought this was interesting. I was trying to figure out where they are. So this is,
It looks like San Diego. It looks like the MCRD San Diego.
yeah, I'm guessing this is Pendleton because it says right on there first air delivery, and
Huh.
I don't know what that is. So I was trying to do a little research, and there's a MOS 0451 is an airborne and air delivery specialist, and they're basically responsible for like anytime they do like airdrops and like cargo drops and
Right.
you know
Logistics.
yeah exactly logistics is I found an article that said a lot of these guys were attached to the first Marine Logistics Group, and that was I believe out of Camp Pendleton.
Okay, it makes sense because you see some hills. I don't know. I just when I went to boot camp in because I was a West Coast Marine, you were East Coast. Um, I saw a lot of the buildings that looked like this where they had like loading docks. It looked uh like a loading dock facility, like a warehouse. It's like the backup the bump gates and just big open areas with the roll up doors But yeah, as soon as you say that, I'm looking at the background when they first kind of show this area, and you see some mountains. And MCRD, you see stuff, but usually there's houses all over it. So yeah, this seems a little bit more, yeah, Camp Pendleton.
Well, and it makes sense too because first off, we talked about this previously. The movie takes place in Camp Lejeune, but they filmed in Camp Pendleton. So, obviously it makes sense that they would be in, they're in California. That's where Hollywood is and all that good stuff. So he was probably filming in Camp Pendleton. But, he gets a bus ticket to go to Camp Lejeune. So I was trying to think, well, where's he coming from that he has to take a long, several day bus trip, which, it could be anywhere,
Yeah,
but it ends up going, so it
cross
makes sense.
country.
Yeah, it makes sense if he started out movie logic, he was in California, went to Camp Lejeune, even though they probably just went right down the street. I actually was looking up that 0451, MOS description, and they basically are responsible for the maintenance of all life support equipment relating to airborne airdrop operations. In addition, they will assist in preparing the supplies and equipment necessary to deliver personnel and equipment via parachute and conduct subsequent equipment recovery and throughput operations. So
Mm.
it's almost like they're
Shoot Packers. That's what they
yeah.
do.
Well, all sorts of stuff. Yeah, and but again, it's supply and logistics. So I think it's funny. Tom Highway, Clint Eastwood's sitting there as a supply clerk basically, but he's doing it for like he's like a cool supply clerk.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it seems a hell of a place to put well, again, it was foreshadowing or just kind of spinning off into the future. But he's a we'll say highly decorated Marine,
Yeah.
combat veteran. Like this, I guess does seems like it's kind of the last little cush duty station that he's gonna have.
And there's a sign on the wall too. It's like air delivery, parachute issue. All shooters are responsible for all gear checked out. Report any damages to the shoot room, NCOIC, something airborne.
Yeah, hoorah, kill.
Yep. So, of course, we got the sergeant quartermaster coming here trying to make friends with Clint Eastwood. He's got a lot of friends, but he could use a few more.
Yeah, I don't think he's doing a very good job on that front. He just seems kind of like a little bit of a worm.
Yeah, it's hard to tell right away, but Clint Eastwood is just kind of going about his business, and he's not really reading the room very well.
Yeah.
He's still doing his sales pitch, and Gunny Highway doesn't seem
Too impressed.
too impressed. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think Tom Highway's primary goal is to make buddies.
Well, you can tell right away because as soon as he walks in, he has some. Is he always that chipper, or is he because he just pumped the neighbor's dog? Well, that's all I have for this minute. Do you have anything else?
No, I think we pretty much covered it.
All right. Well, I'm going to ask all the folks out there listening to go check out Star Wars Minute. And just ask that everybody come join us back on Monday for Minute 10. We'll find out if Clint Eastwood's going to get a new friend or not.
Where do you put your money? No friend? New friend?
I don't know. Tom Highway seems like he could use a friend.
He could, yeah, seems like.
Look at that face. He could use a friend. Maybe a hug.
Yeah, needs a hug and a beer.
I think he had several of those before, which is why he was in court.
Yeah, possibly.
All right, Perry, let's get out of here for the weekend and see if we can go find ourselves a serviceman's discount.
Oh, attaboy. All right. Y'all have a good weekend.
The movie takes place dude, that's so distracting. I'm holding the recording in case any other gems pop up. Doesn't seem like I'm getting one. All right, I'm going to stop recording.